a family member of one of those people being held hostage has taken the decision to join this program. His name is Lior Peri. His father, Haim Peri, has been captured by Hamas. He is 79 years old. And his brother, Danny Darlington from Manchester, was killed by the insurgents at the age of 34. Lior Peri is here on the line with me now. Thank you, Lior, for joining us. Well, first of all, an obvious question. Just tell me how you're feeling right now. I mean, the sense of loss must be epic and overpowering.
Yeah, hi, good morning. The senses are really strong. We are, for the last 4 years, we are trying to gather information to understand what happened. We're still not sure. We're still kind of in the dark, trying to mainly understand what's going on. The horror that was on Saturday morning is still very hard to understand, to realize what happened. So mainly now this is trying to understand the situation we're at. Basically.
Lior, do you, I don't want to dwell too much on the horrible details, but do you know how your brother Danny was killed?
Yeah. Him and a German girlfriend of his, a German citizen. They were tourists. They went to visit the kibbutz. He has some friends there for the last few years. He was very in touch with the kibbutz. Although he was born in England, he had very close friends there, and he went to visit them every year or 2 years. And they were unfortunate enough to be there at that morning. He was supposed to come to me. I'm in Tel Aviv. He was supposed to come to my house at this noon, and I would drop him at the airport. And in the morning, he texted me that something very bad is going on in kibbutz. I knew that he was in a safe room. Every kibbutz in the Gaza region has a safe room, and he was there. And he was ordered. He was given orders through the phone to stay inside and lock it, but probably as happened in many other safe rooms in the kibbutz, they managed to break in and shoot them, I presume.
I'm so sorry for your loss. Tell us about your dad, Haim. Was he kidnapped from his home?
Yeah, he was. His houses are one of the Western houses, so the terrorists got there quite early, and they tried to infiltrate, to go into the safe room several times. He managed to deflect them a few times, but then he understood that he wasn't strong enough to keep the door, so he hid his wife inside the safe room and went outside and gave himself up and said, "Okay, take me." And they told him in English, "Don't resist, we're not going to hurt you." And by doing so, he actually saved his wife, which stayed in the room hidden, bent behind a small sofa for 4 hours, I think, until the soldier came. So he managed to do a last act of bravery before he was taken.
An extraordinary act of courage, and now he's a hostage, of course. He's 79 years old. Tell us a bit about him. I mean, is he in good health? Because this is quite an ordeal for anyone to go through, but if you're pushing the age of 80, it's a hell of an ordeal. Is he in good health? Do you fear for him?
It is a big deal, because not only him and the vast majority of abductees from our community, at least, are kids, women, and elderly people. This is most of the abductees, and all of the elderly people are not well. They are all on medicine. We tried to send a message, to send a list of medicine that they require. We send it to the Red Cross. We hope it will go through somehow. But all of them are not in good health, and they all need care in a certain way. And we try to approach and to shout out as much as possible to anyone who's willing to listen, to apply pressure on whoever is capable of doing anything, that to try and release or do something about at least the kids, the women, and the elderly people.
Obviously, I want to ask you, as the son of someone who's been kidnapped by Hamas, but also as an Israeli citizen, how are you feeling about what has happened since Saturday? I mean, the stories coming out of Israel are just horrific, as bad as we've heard ever. The atrocities being committed, the beheading of babies, rape, people being executed on their doorstep when they open the door. How are you and your fellow citizens feeling about this? It's just quite extraordinary.
Unfortunately, we learned to take those kind of news in a limited way. This is not what we are focusing in now. It wouldn't do us any good if we focus on the atrocity or the horrors that are being shown or being told. We mainly asking ourselves about the colossal how do you call it? The problem with no reaction from the army and no reaction from any kind of Israeli intervention. I mean, they were there inside the territory of Israel for some of them even 8 hours, some 4 hours, for hours and hours until they had some reaction. This is our main question now. This is what we're asking ourselves. But even this is less important for us right now than the retrieval of our adopted people in Gaza. So we are less in the atrocities and horror stories. We're more into doing and trying to shout out our word that to release the women, children, and elderly, of course.
Let me ask you a last question, Lior. Your father is being held hostage. We understand that these 100 hostages or so are being held underground somewhere in Gaza. Obviously, your Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, has vowed a vicious revenge, ruthless revenge for what has happened, and most people around the world sympathise with that attitude. But if he goes carpet bombing Gaza, as we expect, plus the land invasion, I mean, would you encourage the Prime Minister to go hell for leather with his revenge on Gaza, even though your father, that may put your father and the hostages at risk?
I was born in front of the Gaza Strip exactly 50 years ago, and I've seen all of our history together. And our dear Prime Minister has been promising to erase Hamas for the last 20 years. We all know exactly. There's no need to pretend. We all know exactly that it's going nowhere. We all know the cost of infiltrating, of sending troops out on the ground to Gaza. We all know the cost. Hamas is expecting it. Unfortunately, I'm not one taking the decisions, but it's clear to me that if somebody is trying to achieve this different result with doing exactly the same mistake over and over again, there's something wrong with his perspective. That's the way I see it. I think Israeli and Hamas should open a humanitarian passage and do, first of all, the exchange of captured. That's the first and foremost important thing they can do. The carpet bombing of Gaza, like so many people are now wishing, will only lead to more death and to more vengeance and to no future whatsoever. This is definitely not my way not the way of the people I'm here with. We are urging everyone to stop the war who hasn't started yet, and focus on bring back the hostages and finding a long-term solution to this problem, since the solution that's been tried until now for the last 20 so years are not working and producing the same result over and over again.
Absolutely. Lior, listen,
Yes.
I'm so sorry for your loss, and our thoughts are with your father, and thank you very much for talking to us. Very brave of you. That's Lior Peri, whose brother has been killed by Hamas and whose father, whose 79-year-old father, is being held hostage in